I'm Aisling Magill. I'm a photographer and visual storyteller based in Somerset in the southwest of England.
Hello and welcome to Obehi Podcast. I'm your host, Obehi A14, and I strongly believe that everyone has a story to share. Now let's get started into this episode.
I work mainly with small businesses to help them promote their brands and get seen out there. So in between all the noise of social media and the web, I try and help them get.
Do you want to tell me a little bit about you? Because we try to know more about the guests that we have here, a little background of you. Let's take it off from there.
Okay, so right from the beginning, I actually grew up in London. In quite a nice part of London, and I picked up a camera when I was quite young, really. I studied it as an A-level at school and then continued on. So I went to Swansea for university and studied photography and arts there. So it's much more arty and much more kind of creative side of photography. I worked in a portrait studio, taking family portraits and that kind of thing after university for a while. And then I decided to go back to university to study my NCTJ, which is specifically press photography. So I did that for a year and then went into the press. So I spent 12 years after that working in the press industry. So shooting all kinds of stories, everything from bins not being collected to murders. You know, it's a whole spectrum of stuff that goes on with that. Yeah, I did that for about 12 years and then moved on to start my business where I am now.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. All right. Now, you're going to help me understand now because we love story a lot. Now, of course, we are talking about storytelling here, and it's very important for us as a human being. This is actually one of the things that actually separates us from other animals, that we are able to sit down and tell our story. Okay, of course, talking again from our natural bias, we are human beings, we believe that we know better than every other species on Earth, but okay, that's fine. So tell me, how did you get into photography? I mean, what actually interests you into photography? Of course, later we're going to be talking about storytelling. Okay, both of them relate.
Yeah, gosh, it's a good question. I think I always geared myself towards the arty side of things. So, you know, I enjoyed arts and crafts and that kind of thing. But I think I like photography because I found it easier to create the kind of images that I wanted to that were in my head with a camera. And I thought, you know, it's an interesting tool to play with. I like technology as well. So it was a real fun way to merge the two. And then they did a level at my school, and we got to go in the dark room and actually produce things, you know, properly with film cameras and that kind of thing, and then go into the black room and develop our films and develop our photos, and that was really appealing to me. And I love seeing the image come to life on the sheet of paper and the chemicals in the dark room.
So how was photography in your time? I want to believe that there was some, of course, that inspired you now. So we want to even know, how was photography at the time that you were a young adolescent? Yeah, I mean, maybe, for example, maybe there were some photographers who were taking pictures. I don't know if you went to an exposition, there were people that inspire you in terms of photography. Yeah.
Yeah, I think probably the biggest inspiration for me was an exhibition I saw down at the Barbican. It was a Henry Cartier-Bresson exhibition. And it showed he was a war photographer predominantly, but it showed his work right from the beginning. Shots kind of around Finchley Park in London, which was an area close to where I grew up. And it was kind of, I think it was shot back in the kind of 50s, 60s times to start with. And then he went on to Vietnam and took loads of pictures out there. And then eventually he moved down to Somerset, a similar area as well, and started doing landscape photography. So kind of, yeah, trodden the similar path in areas that he was in working in. And it's kind of funny how it happens, but it was an interesting exhibition. It's really...
Okay. We believe that everyone has a story to share. We believe in the power of storytelling in today's digital economy. Yes, we believe that our audience need to be touched at the level of emotion so we can better engage. What about you? Do you believe in storytelling as much as we do? Do you want to reach the hearts and minds of your audience? Then join us in our online training class, Storytelling for Content Creators and Digital Entrepreneurs. Come come to obehi1food.com/storytelling and learn how to leverage your storytelling skills so you can earn more as a content creator and digital entrepreneur. Storytelling is a powerful instrument at our disposal. Let's explore it together. See you in the class. But what do you like about photography? What is the joy in it for you that make you want to still continue to do it to date?
Gosh, I mean, it is that way of being able to tell a story in a single image without having to. I'm not the best talker in the world, so I love telling stories and showing things through imagery opposed to through words, really. And I love the way that you can use a single image to tell a massive story, really.
All right. So did you have to learn anything? Okay, now you know that you want to become a photographer, but did you have to learn anything in the art? Okay, I know that there's a lot into photography because I've done also a bit of photography. I don't know about the camera work, the basic logic about how to take photo and things like that. Did you have to learn them in a school, or did you have to learn them on your own in the field?
Yeah, I mean, there's different ways of doing it. Obviously, personally, I went to, like I said, I did an A-level, I did a degree, and I did an NCTJ in photography. So I've learned kind of all of the background to it, all of the technical sides to it, as well as, like I said, I did the press qualification, which meant I studied the law of photography. So who you can photograph, where you can photograph them, and all that kind of thing as well. So kind of encompassed everything to really get the best knowledge. I love learning, so it's really important to me.
All right. Now let's look at your work. So when you go out as a photographer today, because you're a photographer now, what do you do in terms of your photographic work?
So predominantly these days, I work with businesses. So I do everything from product photography to interior exteriors to brand photos. So working one-on-one a lot of the time with business owners and that kind of thing to show them off, to show off what they're doing. And it's kind of, it's a whole plethora of stuff, which is nice because it means you're using lots of different disciplines and trying different stuff and gives you a bit of a creative side, but also a technical side to the photography.
All right, let's look at the technical part of it. Now you do product photography. You're going to be taking picture of products now, which of course we are going to be seeing either in Amazon or in a shop or in some other places. That is very interesting now, but it's also going to be very technical as it were. So tell us about that. How do you do that?
So it depends what you're doing with them. Obviously, I've got some stuff to shoot today on a white background, and it's just a case of really using lots of lighting and making sure everything is on point, really. So you want a nice sharp image, nice bright, nice clear, nice concise, because when it's a bit grey and dull, it just doesn't stand out, especially on your Amazons and your Etsy's and stuff where, pictures have to look great, and on your social media as well. I was going to give you a tip today. Would you like one of my tips now?
Yeah, please go.
For people who might be doing some of their own photography and don't necessarily have the lighting, I suggest this as one really useful tool to have, a reflector. And I'm just going to pop one up for you now.
Okay, please.
So.
Wow, okay, yeah, we can see it. Okay.
It will also work quite well with portraits and that kind of thing. So you may be able to see now. If I put that up underneath my chin, you see how much lighter my face gets. Without having a light, it gives you the opportunity to create, use the available light to help create some different effects. And again, with the dark, it makes them a bit darker. But the good thing with product photography, inside this one, there with me, you have this, which is a translucent. See, and if you use that up against the light source, so your window, it will just it will soften everything down for you, so you don't get the harsh shadows that you might do otherwise shooting products without something like that. Using natural light. My little show and tell there.
Thank you for that. That's important for us. That's important for people who want to learn about some of these techniques, no?
Yeah, but certainly if you're doing it professionally, or if you want pictures that you're going to sell your products with, then you're best off using a professional who will light it properly, or have some proper light.
How do you position those things in a way that you get the proper lighting? Are there some technique? Because now you place the object in a certain position, then you place that one to sort of conduct the light into it so that you get a good lighting system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want it too close to the light source, because like I say, you'll get a harsh shadow then, especially kind of if you're using like natural light from a window like we've got here. You'll end up with a big shadow. So you want to move it away from the light source a bit, so it's a little bit duller. But then, like I say, for myself, I don't know if you can see behind me there, I've got a little sheet table which is white there. So again, put up a white back. That's the kind of thing I would use. It's infinity, so it doesn't have a bend in the wall. It's a curve, so it doesn't give you a big line in the background and that kind of thing. Makes sense.
All right. Now, are there some things that maybe a beginner photographer should avoid, particularly those that are shooting product photography? Maybe some techniques you think so that they can take better photo?
I mean, like I say, putting things too close to a light source so you get dark, harsh shadows, because no one really wants that. Be careful what lenses you're using. So you want to try and use, if you're using a phone, then maybe try and use it in portrait mode, or you want to use a wide aperture on your camera so that you are focusing on the product and not the background.
Now, when did you realize that photography was something that you wanted to do? Because, now maybe you have experimented with some things, you have maybe, you usually start with homework. Now you do it at home. You want to convince yourself, but at a point you realize that, you really want to do this. You really can do this. You really, you don't know everything yet, but you keep on improving until you really become a pro in it. So when was the point for you that you realized that, you really wanted to do this?
I don't know if there was an actual point. I was interested in doing it at a lower level, like I say, and then going on to do the degree. And after that, I just had the drive still to continue and to try and carry it on. And, I think a lot of people will do a degree and then go on and do something totally different. But for me, I really wanted to try and keep it going and carry on. And then I've carried on and done various aspects of photography. And, I might get bored of doing one thing and then I'll move on and try and do something else with it. But the passion's still there. It's something that's kind of in the blood, I think. It's one of those things that you never really retire from. I know people in their 70s and 80s still working. It's just so hard to put down the camera.
And because we are looking at photography from the point of view of business, how do you make money from photography?
Yeah, of course. It's not easy, if I'm honest. It is difficult to make money from photography, especially doing what I do, because I work with a lot of small businesses who don't necessarily have the budget. But I think it's become more and more important, especially with the way that social media is going and the way people are selling their products and services on social media and online. And imagery has become much stronger. It's become much easier to hand, but people want lots and lots of pictures all the time. So I think it's become really important for people to have that thing. So I sell my services in the same way, really, through social media and the website and online most of the time, because through word of mouth obviously as well, but people get to know me and get to know my work online.
All right. In terms of maybe finding your own client, because you are going to be taking picture for people, and that is how you make money from it. Because if you are taking just for passion, of course you can still do it for passion or you like to do it, but of course it means that you are going to have other source of income. But if you are going to be making income from this, meaning you are going to be doing it for people who are going to pay you, which is something I actually like so much about the economy that we have today. They sort of call it the service economy, Do something for me, then I give you money. Perhaps I've always been like this, only that now it become more pronounced like before. So how do you find your client? How do you know the kind of people, or do you just shoot a picture for any kind of person? Help me understand that.
So I shoot for a whole range of businesses, to be fair, and I find my clients mainly through networking locally, but also through my social media channels online, so people get to follow me, get to know my work, and want to work with me. But yeah, I have a broad client base, so kind of any kind of businesses really. But I try to work with people who are working in sustainable sectors, so they're trying to produce products that are sustainable, or they're they're working in environments that are trying to be helpful. The main aim is to try and work with people who are trying to make the world a bit better.
Do you need to advertise your service so that people can know that you are a photographer? I don't know, maybe in your neighborhood or to some other persons?
So I've never actually paid for advertising, admittedly. I just tend to try and get myself out and about and seen regularly. The nice thing about networking and that kind of thing is for me, a lot of the time I'll go and take a camera and take some pictures of an event happening. So people know who I am instantly with a camera. And then those pictures will go out and they'll be able to find me that way. So it's kind of, it works both ways for me with the camera and networking, which is nice. So that's quite a bit of advertising. Yeah, most of the time for me it's just kind of word of mouth and people sharing my name out there, which is really nice. I mean, like I said, I've been a photographer for over 20 years. I've been running this business for just under 6 now. Yeah, it takes time to get known.
Yeah, right. But as a business model, as taking picture for people, is something that you can recommend for people as a business to do today, 2022, correct?
Absolutely, as long as you've got the passion for it, and that's the most important thing. You've got to want to do it, and you've got to have a passion to keep pushing forwards, because it's not something where work will just come to you. You have to keep putting yourself out there and making sure you've got that work coming towards you.
Now, how would one get started? Say, okay, now let's, based on your recommendation, you can make money doing photography, you know, but where should one get started taking photograph for money?
Start with it is finding your niche and your passion, really. So what are you interested in photographing? Look at that, build a portfolio. So build a portfolio of the pictures of things that you're interested in photographing. If you're interested in photographing people, ask your friends and family to model for you and build up a nice bank of images. So people have got something to refer to relate to. So when they're looking at you as a photographer, they can see the work that you've already done. Go, oh, I like that. I like this style. I'd like to work.
We were saying in the beginning that at the point we're going to talk about visual storytelling, because that is also how you describe yourself. You're a visual storyteller, correct?
I do describe myself as that, yeah.
Okay, so what would that mean? Help me understand that.
So for me, it means, as well as photography, I do a little bit of video as well, but generally it is still images. But you've probably heard the phrase, a picture speaks 1,000 words. So it's that idea that you can tell a story quite quickly and succinctly without people having to read a whole page of text. They can look at an image and go, okay, this is about this. I think the press industry kind of sums it up quite well, because you have to tell a story quite quickly in an image to get someone to then read on a little bit more in depth about it. It's really come from that area, and I think every business has a massive story behind it. You know, we're all interested in people, and we're all interested in how things come about what the company's ethos is, what has brought someone to produce that product or service. And I think it's really important to be able to tell that story in an image and in a series of images that keep portraying, you know, what you want to tell, really, what the story is about behind you.
Thank you so much for that. That's good. All right. Now, are there some core element of visual storytelling that maybe people should know so that they can become better storyteller, of course, visually this time?
I think the main thing to think about is what is your story. So your unique perspective on what you do, and once you kind of figure out what your USP is, then it's easier to tell the story. So it's sometimes easier to get other people to look in from outside and be able to tell that. So for instance, like I said, I like working with sustainable brands. If you're creating something sustainable, then people want to know that, and they want to know, you know, where the materials are coming from, how you're producing it, what energy consumption you're using. So there's different ways of telling that visually, and it's not, you know, there's not one size that fits all. It's about finding your niche, finding a way to link it all together as well. So your images have a similar feel about them, whether you're using a brand colour or a certain style that draws all your images together, that keeps that story and keeps everything together in a little niche.
You were saying before that, yes, a picture did say more than 1,000 words, no? All right. Now, I'm beginning to sort of wonder, imagine that when you are telling story as a visual storyteller, you do a lot of work with shapes, and images and colors and things like that. Can you help me understand how you make this composition, what people should pay attention to for them to tell better story using visual elements?
So from a technical perspective, you mean, I think another one of the little tips is using the rule of thirds, which just means if you've got a square, you've got a smaller square in the middle of it. The points on the smaller square is where you want your focus to be, and it just gives a nicer composition generally to an image, opposed to everything central and in the middle and looking kind of boring, because it means it just gives you a little bit more of a kind of interesting look to the pictures.
Do you see that maybe there are some rules that people need to obey in making visual storytelling? Maybe you want, okay, I will just throw it out there, for example, that maybe, for example, you have a white background. You make sure that the color that you are putting there, maybe that as an image or as a text, they have similar color, otherwise it's going to be missing there. So in line with that, I want you to share with me if there are some rules that people need to obey. To be a great content creator in today's fast changing economy, you need one thing: storytelling. Storytelling is a powerful instrument to leverage either for personal use or for your business success. This is why this training class, Storytelling for Content Creator and Digital Entrepreneurs, was created. It is designed to help you leverage the power of storytelling so you can stand out from the crowd and earn more in your business. Come to obehi-4.com/storytelling and learn how to leverage your storytelling skill to earn more as a content creator and digital entrepreneur. You need the power of storytelling to stand out in the competition. So let's explore it together. See you in the class.
So I don't think there's necessarily rules. I mean, to be honest, I quite like to break rules, so I never like to have too many rules in place. But yeah, certainly, like I was saying before, keeping things consistent is really important across your imagery and your video. So if you are shooting on a white background, make sure everything is on a white background. Make sure your background is white. It's not going to be off color on some and white on others, because then it will look mismatched. But you're saying if you've got a brand color, for instance, then having pops of that throughout your imagery. You know, you don't have to have all of your backgrounds in blue, for instance. You can have, you know, a blue sky in a picture. You can have a blue cake in a picture. Kind of link it together as people used to do on kind of Instagram pages. You know, they have little links of things. It's nice to do that, because as soon as someone looks at your imagery, they know that it's you. You kind of they link that color and style to your brand.
Mm-hmm. I was also hearing of typography. I don't know if you already did make mention of that. How people should use it in composing. I think there is a lot of work that need to be done within the area of composition. No? In that you sort of arrange and rearrange elements in your frame so that it tells a story. So I'm talking of typography, if that plays any role there, or if it's something important that people should pay attention to when they are crafting story using elements in the frame.
I think with typography as well, you just want to keep it consistent. So you want to use the same type of font over and over again. It doesn't necessarily matter where you're positioning it in an image. It depends what the image is and how it looks to where it will get and where it will feel right. Yeah, you want to keep the consistency. So
now, if you were to say this is a good visual storytelling that appeals to you, I want to say that how would you describe it? A good visual story that can be out there.
It's got to be something that's quite strong, that's quite striking. So you want great imagery. You want to be able to make it linear almost, so you can tell a story. You know, it may be broken up into sections, but you want it to be able to stand out and to pop. It's difficult to describe, really.
Okay, now because we are not alone in this world, we all learn from each other. That is what the masters, if I have done, and that is why we have the masters, people we can learn from. Looking at today, 2022, and you as a visual storyteller, Is there somebody you look up to that you like his or her work, that you aspire to, that inspires you? Share with me, who is this person or these persons?
Goodness, it's difficult. Obviously, there's lots of people out there. James Natcho is a great photographer. I love a guy called David Griffiths, actually, who's a food photographer. But he uses old lenses and that kind of thing and really creates. There's something very striking about his images that, again, it's his photos because of the way they're shot. So, yeah, that stands out and that appeals to me.
Now, people out there that are listening to you, they are looking for a way to connect with you. I want to do business with you. Why not? We are here for that too. We are here to connect so we can do business with each other now. So how can people reach out to you and what can they benefit from connecting with you?
So they can follow my social media. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. I don't tend to do Twitter. Also my website, which is aislingmagill.com. People can reach out and I share tips and tricks every now and again. I have a few tips on my blog on my website. And also, obviously, I like to help people shoot, so if they need help, chat to me. I do a subscription package for small businesses as well, which is cost effective. Means we can do multiple shoots, so keep that brand consistency going, as I was talking about with visual storytelling. Yeah, that's me, and that's where they can find me. And I'm always happy to chat to people and point them in the right direction, even if I'm not the right person.
What is the importance of visual storytelling or storytelling in general in businesses? Why should people even care about it? Why is it important?
I think I touched on it before, but people buy from people. I think it's a phrase we use quite a lot over here. People love to know what your core values are, why you're doing what you're doing, how you're doing what you're doing, how you started doing what you're doing. They all build up to the story of your brand. And customers will buy from brands they like with values that are similar to theirs. So if you can build up that community using your visual stories and your stories, it's the best way to find your customers, I think, really.
Thank you so much for that. So what would be your final thought here? Maybe there's something you wanted to say I did not ask you, or I don't know. It can be a message of yours. Just go ahead and do that.
Well, I think everyone needs to get out there and shoot for themselves as well as having a professional. So use your camera phones or your cameras and get out and take some pictures.
Let everybody go out there and begin to participate in this, in the artistic world, in the economy. Why not? Everybody is invited. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate that.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for that. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you subscribe so you never miss any of our future episodes. Rate and review Obehi Podcast and share with your friends who might need it. I remain Obehi Ewafo. Thank you so much for listening and talk to you in the next episode.